Hi beautiful people, you are welcome back to Visit Court Fashion House channel. My name is Paula. We are grateful for as many that has been subscribing to this channel, and if you have not subscribed, do well to subscribe today. Thank you. Today I will be teaching you how to make one beautiful shoulder cup corset. And to make this shoulder cup corset, I'll be using this African prints mixed with this black crepe material. So with just 1 yard of this African prints and 1.5 to 2 yards of this crepe, we are good to go. So now this is the basic body pattern that I've drafted here. With the length of the dress is 39, and I've added a 1 inch hem allowance at the down part there. This is the shoulder length of 7 inches, and we have our armhole line of 8 inches. This is the upper chest line of 6 inches is our upper chest line, 10 inches is our bust point line, 12.5 is our under bust line, 17 inches as our waist line or half length, 24 inches is our hip line. So and we have our full length of 39 inches, then 1 inch hem allowance. So now the line we're having here, this is our bust span of 3.5 inches. The bust span we're working with is 7 inches. Divided by 2 give us 3.5. So you get it at the down part, then you roll it, you connect it together just as it is here. This line you are seeing here, I just have to join to the paper we are using because the length is not enough. So I just join this part for us to have the length, which means we don't have anything to do with this line we are seeing here. So the first thing we have to do now is to come to the left and to the right by 1 inch on this our under bust line. We come to the right, have 1 inch, to the left 1 inch. So we get the same thing on the waistline, 1 inch to the right, 1 inch to the left. So we connect it together. So if your project is stopping by the waistline, maybe you want to add another down part, so you are good to stop here. But for this one, as we are proceeding to the down part, so the same thing I do here, I will have to do it at the down part of our dress. So I come to the left and to the right by 1 inch, which is that line. So I connect it. Straight to the down part. So just like that. So let's now, we're going to take care of our measurements now. So the bust we are working with is 33. So if you divide 33 by 4, it gives us 8/4. That is 8.25. So on this line, you measure your 8/4. Then you get your seam allowance of 1.5 to 2 inches. To take our waist measurements now, the waist we are working with is 27. If we divide 27 by 4, it gives us 6.75. That is 6.75. So we mark it here. The 2 inches we are having inside here, we return it. Then we get our seam allowance of 2 inches. Then the underbust measurement we are working with is 26. We divide 26 by 4. It gives us 6.5. We measure 6.5 here. This is these 2 inches that we have measured here. We return it 2 inches. Then we get our waist, our seam allowance of 2 inches. Yes. So the next thing we are to determine now is to determine how low we want our chest, the depth of our chest now. So the depth of our chest will be, I will prefer 7 inches as the depth of our center front. So I mark on this line 7 inches. Then on it I come in by half an inch, just this way. I connect it, then I roll it down just a bit. You can roll it down up to the waistline. You can stop somewhere here. So it's just an indication. The next thing we have to do now is to just, we just connect this our dart on the underbust. We just connect it to the bust point, just this way. Yes, connect it like that. So the next thing we have to do now is just to get the cup, is to form the cup for this center front. And to achieve that, all we need to do is to place our French cuff and just connect it this way from this our center front where we come in by half. We just place our French cuff, we just connect it to this end. So I think you see the way it goes. So the next thing we have to do now is just to, we have not taken our hip measurements. Let's quickly take our hip measurements. The hip we are working with is 36. We divide 36 by 4. It gives us 9 inches. So we measure our 9 inches here. We get, we return these 2 inches. Then we get our 2 inches seam allowance. The remaining paper here is not up to 2 inches, but when I'm transferring it to the fabric, I will ensure that it's 2 inches. I mark here. So let me just, so that I will note. So we do the same thing at the down part here. We whatever we are having here at the hip part here, we're having 12/4 here. So you just deduct 1.5 from it to get your, the down part of your dress. So if we deduct 1.5 from 12/4 here, we are having 10.75 left. So we just connect the hem to the down part straight this way before we now use our straight ruler to connect. We connect from the down part to the hip part. Then we connect from the hip to the waistline. we connect to the bust, under bust line. Then from there we connect to the bust. So on this, on the bust line here, I mean the chest line, you just come down here by 1 or 1.5. Then let me use 1 inch. You're good to use 1.5, no problem. So from this end now, I connect from here. I use my French cuff to connect to this end. Yes. So let me get my hammer. Let me draft out the hammer now. So the hammer on this line, we are having 7 inches here. You get the half of it, which is 3.5. You come in by half an inch. So you use your French cuff to connect to this end. Just like this. The next thing is for us to get our neckline. So to get the neckline we are working with is a V shape. So we just from this end now. So you determine the wideness of your neck now. We are having, for the basic pattern, we're having 3 inches here. So you can make it 4. You can make 3.5 to 4. Let me just use a 3.5. So on this 3.5 now, I just connect to this end. So the next thing is for us to, cut it out now. When I'm transferring it to my fabric, I will ensure that I had the 0.75 that remain for the seam allowance here to complete down to the hemline. I will add it to it. So that is why I've this thing, so that I will remember when I'm cutting it on my fabric that something needs to be done from this hip part to the down part. It formed the cup here already. Oh, this is not where we are going. So the next thing we have to do is to close this up with our sellotape. We close we close it up before we go and cut it out on our fabric. And the beauty of it is that we are using, the material we are using is stretchy, so we don't need to put that again. So we just close it up before we cut it out on our fabric. So that is for this. So for these parts now, the next thing we have to do here is to, this is it. So you can just make use of one part. So what I do is that I get the center of this shoulder line. The half of this will be, this is 3.5. So half will be 1/3, 1.75. So I mark it. Then with my straight ruler, I connect it to this end. So for this side, I can just measure some inches. The way maybe I get half of this as well. We're having 7 here. I get half, which is 3.5. I prefer 2 inches. I connect it to the up part. For this side, I can do the same thing. I get like 2 inches. I connect it. Then I use a slash and spread method here now to get our gathers that we are having in our cup. So I will need the application of another plain paper now. Don't let everything, don't cut everything, just stop somewhere. Do the same thing at the center. Do the same thing here. Then we have to spread it on another plain sheet. Ensure that you don't cut everything. I'm just trying to get more. Yes. So I'll get another paper now to place this on. Now I'll spread it on another plain paper now. You can spread it as wide as you want, but for me, I just spread it, having space of like 2 inches there, 2 inches there at the center here. I have like 4 inches or thereabout. So for yours, you can do it the way you like, as fuller as you want the rough work, the gathers to be. So, and after spreading it, I just use my French curve, to connect it, connect from this end to this, just this way. And then I connect it from here so that I will know how to trace it out as I'm cutting. So I do the same thing from here. I connect this end, do the same thing here, from here, I connect. So then I connect, this one is already there. So the next thing is for me to cut it out now. I cut this part out just the way it has formed here. By the time we gather the ruffle together, this one will straighten itself again. But the way it is now, just cut it out like that. Having done this, I can remove this one up here. I can leave it. But this is what I will use to cut out my fabric now. The way it is. That's what I will use. Let's remove this and see how exactly it looks. So this is it. So, and for this, by the time you want to use it to cut out your fabric, from this end, this is the neckline. From here now, ensure that you had half an inch all through to this end. Had half an inch to this very point. From here, the depth of your neckline, so you had half an inch in your fabric. And ensure when you are cutting out your fabric, this thing will be on your fabric will be on fold. Let your fabric be on fold as you place this on it. That is for the front cut. Now let's quickly draft the back cut. To draft the back cut of our shoulder cuff corset now, I've come with the pattern drafting for the back, and we have 1 inch as a zipper allowance. It's being rolled down to the down part. Then this is our shoulder length of 7 inches here. Then this is the basic pattern. We don't really need this wideness, or I mean the depth of the neck. So for this is the bust span line, 10 inches, and we are having our half back. Half back is 16 inches. So you know, waist length is 17 inches. That is half length. So when you get to the back, you deduct 1 from your where you have length. So half back is 16 inches. We have hip line of 24 inches. Then our full length of 39 inches. Then 1 inch hem line. So now let's go. So now the next thing we have to do now is to get the dart of our back. And to achieve that, what we do is we measure our bust span length. I mean our nipple to nipple that we use for the front. That is 3.5. We mark it here. We mark it at the half back here too. Now 3.5. Then we connect it. So the next thing we have to do is to, on this bust span line, we come down by 1 inch. Then on this half back, we come to the left and to the right with a half inch. Half inch. Then we connect it. Then we come down with a 6 from this half back. We come down with 6 inches. So which means we mark the 6 inches from this center. 6 inches. We mark it here. We get our bust span here, which is 3.5. This is it. We connect it to the half back. Then we connect it slantly. So this is our dart for the back. So let's measure the horizontal measurements. The bust we are working with is 33. You divide 33 by 4. It gives us a 8/4. So you measure your 8/4 on the chest line. So you get your 1.5 seam allowance. On the half back, you get your waist. The waist we are working with is 27. You divide 27 by 4. It gives us a 6.75. That is 6.75. So you get it here. Then this 1 inch here, you return it. That is that. This dart 1 inch. Then 1.5 seam allowance. Then the hip, you get your hip. The hip we are working with is 36. You divide it by 4. It gives us 9. You get your seam allowance of 1.5. Then at the down part here, at the full length, you get whatever you are having in your hip. Now, everything together with a seam allowance, or better still, your hip measurement 9 inches. Deduct 1.5 from it. When you deduct 1.5 from 9 inches, which is your hip measurement, you get 7.5. So you measure 7.5 here, 7.5. Then you get your seam allowance of 1.5. So that is the for the down part. Then get the same thing at the hemline here. I roll it down to the hemline. So the next thing I'll do now is to connect together our side, the side, connect it together. We connect it to the half back. Then we connect from half back to the bust. That is from the waist to the bust, just like that. Then the next thing is we get the armhole. So on this armhole line, measure from the shoulder slope down. We have 7 inches. So get the center, I mean the midpoint of 7 inches, which is 3.5. Then come in, enter by 1/4 of an inch. Or many at times you don't even need to come in at all. So you get your, you connect to your bust. Then we get the depth of our neck for the back. And for the back, we'll be using 8 to 9 inches. Let's just use 8 inches as the depth of our neckline for the back. 8 inches. So, and the wideness is 3.5. 3.5. So we just connect it. So we are using the same V-neck at the back. The same V-neck that we use in the front, we are using it at the back. So now let's shape the center of our back cuts, I mean to avoid the zipper bulge. So what we do is that on this half back line, we just come outside by 1/4 of an inch. We mark it. Then we connect, this is the hip line. From here, from this 1/4, we connect to the hip line. So from here, we connect direct to the upper part of our upper region of our dress. Now, the next thing we want to do here now is that we want the back yoke to be Ankara, I mean the African print material, while the remaining part will be black material. So to achieve that, so we are going to, you know, draft out our yoke for the back. And to achieve that, what we do is that we are going to come down, we'll be coming down a bit for the depth of our back neck. So I will be using 10 now for the depth of our back neck. So let me use 10. So as I use 10 now, I will now connect to this end with my French cord. So I will connect it to the armhole, just this way. So having done that, the next thing I will do now is to connect, I'll connect this, the depth of my neck, I'll connect it to this 10 inches. So the depth of my neck now is 3.5 by 10 inches. So this is what we now cut out for the back now. So this part now will be the yoke for the back, and the African print will be used to cut out this. So let's cut out our pattern now. So as it is now, you know, we come out with a 1/4 inch here, remain 3/4. So that 3/4 we return it here, inside here. We return it inside here. That will be the new zipper allowance. You just connect it. You just connect it up, just like this. Then from here, you connect to this end. So this is your new zipper allowance. So the next thing is to cut out our yoke. This is the yoke here. So now, when you are cutting out your fabric, ensure that 1/2 inch is added to the down part here. So you don't need the zipper allowance at the upper part here, because your zipper is not getting to the depth of your neck. So you add 1/2 inch to the upper part of here. So this is where, when you are fixing your zipper, this is where it starts. You fix your zipper on the down part of your dress, then you hold your dart. But this yoke now, Ankara will be used to cut out this yoke. So you don't cut this one out, you hold it in your fabric as your dart, just the way it goes. So this is the back cut. So the next thing is to cut it out on our fabric. We have cut out our pattern. This is the front shoulder cup, and the 1/2 inch is added from the depth of the neck. We had 1/2 inch go around to the where we come down with 1 inch for at the armpit level. So we had 1/2 inch, and it's on fold. This is it. And the same fabric is used to cut out the lining. This is the lining that will be used for it. The same fabric, the same way it's cut out. So this is the back yoke. So for down part, 1/2 inch is added to the down part, and we cut out the same fabric the same way as our lining. So that is for the upper part. So now for the down part, you know, I told you that you maybe you use a sellotape to join this dart together. That we want to join it together so that we don't need to hold any darts here again. So I just place it on the fabric, ensuring it kisses. Don't let it overlap. If you let it overlap, you will have a shortage of fabric. So what I'm saying in essence is that you don't use your pin, don't use office pin to hold it together. So it's either you use gum, a sellotape. Use gum to join it together. So we want it to be just like this. That's why I just place it on my fabric this way. And 1/2 inch is added at this where the shoulder cup will be added. So we added 1/2 inch throughout here. So and the remaining part of our measurements here, when I was trying to get a seam allowance of 2 inches, that this pattern was not enough, so I added the remaining. So that's what I added here. So our 2 inches seam allowance has been completed this side. Now everything is been completed. So that is for the front cut. And note that for this front, the fabric is on fold. So this is it. It's on fold. This is the center front. It's not open at the center front. So this is the back. This is the down part of the back cut. This is where we cut out the yoke. So and half an inch is being added to the upper part of the remaining part here. So the dart, you just hold your dart normal. So the next thing we are going to do now is to go for the joining processing proper. And for the upper part, what we are going to do now is that we join the fabric to the main fabric, join it to the lining. So after joining it together, then we gather the ruffle here at the down part here. We gather it together to achieve the length or measurements we are having here. So that is what we want to achieve here, so that we now join it to it. So thereafter, we now join the shoulder part of the front cut to the back cut. So after joining it together, we now twist it. We now twist the shoulder area before we join the side, or before you place your zipper, whichever way is convenient for you, but ensure that you twist that shoulder area. Now, so far, what we have done so far is that we have joined the lining to lining. We have joined the neckline, top stitch it, and we have gathered the ruffle at the under bust area here, and the front cut is being joined to the back cut. So for this project, I didn't bother to cut lining for the down parts. I just folded this part, this center front. So I just join it to the upper part, the cup area. I join it and overlock it. But if you cut out lining for the down parts, is good. So the same method is applied to the back cut. I join it to the upper part and I overlock it. And the shoulder has been joined together. I mean, the front shoulder has been joined to the back shoulder neatly. So now the next thing we have to do now is to, before we ensure that you twist the shoulder area before you fix your zipper and before you join the side. That's the only two things that remain for us to do now. So we want to twist it before we do that, because if you don't twist it now, you won't be able to do that after fixing your zipper. And to achieve that, all you need to do is just to twist it this way. So after twist it this way, so you use your pin. So you can twist it twice, once or twice. So I twist this one twice now. So then you use your pin to hold down. After twisting the shoulder part, so the next thing is to go and fix our zipper at the back. Then we join the side seam, so and hem the down parts. So and our beautiful shoulder cup corset will be ready. I hope you have enjoyed this video. So try to like it, subscribe to this wonderful channel, share with your friends, and drop your comment on the comment section. Thanks for watching. See you next time.